Hi guys, RJ here. Today's topic, assembly of my HEPA carbon filter. Here's what one looks like completed. Briefly, it uses a high pressure static blower, a Roomba HEPA filter, and a reservoir filled with carbon pellets. We'll go into great detail about each part here. I know the verdict is still out whether or not our 3D printers are harming us, so I'm going to leave that discussion for a different video. Was that too much? So, this is everything you're going to need, printed and purchased. We'll start with the HEPA filter. This is a Roomba, I believe, 7, 8, or 900 series vacuum cleaner filter. Don't quote me on that. Couple things. One is it's got a nice gasket on the bottom, so it seals well in the chamber. Secondly, there is a little key. You can see the key here, and what I found was on some of these, they're not exactly in the same spot. So you may find that when you go to put the filter into the housing that it won't fit. So all you have to do is just notch off one side of this key. Let me see if I can get a close up here for you. Yeah, there you go. So just notch off 1/2 of that key and it'll fit fine. Okay, next is your activated carbon. I purchased this on Amazon. It's fairly cheap and there's a ton of it, so it's going to last you forever. So there's that, and then the high static pressure fan. Let me see if I can get a close up here. It's a Delta fan and works very well in this application. And then you'll need to pick up some rubber bands. 4, possibly 6. This is your purchased items, and then here are your printed items. So when you print this, you're going to be printing in this orientation, the bed on the bottom, standing upright, and you'll need to, in your slicing software, you'll need to add a brim, a tight brim, so the brim touches along the bottom here, or else you'll get some deformity in the little edges here. The next thing you're going to print is the top of the reservoir, and then you'll simply print it in this orientation. So one of these. You need to print one of these, the motor coupling. This connects the housing with the motor. You need to print 2 grates. Well, potentially 2 grates. You definitely have to print one. One of the grates goes in here like such, and then the other one, if you choose to print a second one, can go in the reservoir itself. That way you can choose how much carbon you want to put in the reservoir, or if you want to use this in a recirculating type of manner, say you have your filament in the same chamber that you're trying to cleanse, you can put the front half carbon and the rear half silicate, and that way you'll also dry. you'll need to print one of these, a reservoir, the front cowl. And the only reason this is blue is because I ran out of silver in mid-print and had to change over to blue. You'll need to print one of these. This is the end cap for the reservoir. And then you'll need to print one of these. This is the only part from Rod Layer's respirator filter that I did not modify. And because I didn't modify, you're going to have to do a little more work to get this to work. The Delta fan, the edges are slightly different than, I guess, Rod's fan. So what you have to do is you just have to take a razor blade and kind of notch out the corners. Real simple to do, and once you do that, it'll fit just fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top grate into the top of the housing. Make sure it's fully recessed. Take a little bit of super glue. And I'm just going to tack it down in 4 places. So that's done. So the next step is to glue the top housing onto the bottom. And this is probably the trickiest part because you've got to make sure that you've got this inner lip flush all the way around. In addition, you got to make sure it's sealed all the way around. So that's probably, like I said, the trickiest part. So what I do is place the glue around this edge and then put it together very quickly, concentrating on the front lip here. All right, so let's try it. I'm going to use plenty of super glue. That way I give me a little more time to work everything. So on this side, you want to make sure you come all the way out, and then on this side, don't glue down here, just the top. Okay, here we go. All right. Just hold it for a little while. Looks like I need a little more glue here. All right, that looks good. Good. Okay, so as you can see, let me see if I can zoom in on this. So you can see that the edge, well, hopefully you can see that the edge is flush. Both sides are flush, but that they're not quite straight. I don't know if I can show you this. They are flush, but this side sticks out a little farther than this side, which is perfectly fine. The most important thing, like I said, was to make sure that you get this flush with this, the bottom flush with the top. It doesn't really matter that it's stepped here. Let's see if you can see it. You see how it's stepped here? That won't affect it at all. Okay, so got the top grate glued into the top of the filter housing. Top of the filter housing glued onto the body, the lower half of the filter housing. So I think the next thing is to glue the grate, because I'm going to divide my chamber into two sections, into the middle. And the easiest way to do that is just to put it where you want it and then squeeze the outer body just like that and tack some glue on it. All right, now I'll hold that for a minute or two. Oops. Ah. Guess I need to hold it for a little longer. This is printed in ABS, so it shouldn't take very long at all. All right, so now that the center divider's glued in, I think the next step is to glue the bottom one. Just like we did on the top of the filter housing to the bottom, I'm going to do here. Spread it on pretty thick, so I got plenty of time to work the bottom in. Might actually be a better idea just to put some glue on the bottom. That way you can get the corner, get the top and the side, because it recesses somewhat into the body. All right. Just wait till that dries for a bit, and we'll be right back. Okay, now that everything is glued in, our next step is to, again, silicone the motor coupling to the housing here. Basically just set that on there like that. Grab your silicone. And then just put a nice bead all the way around. And the silicone's a little dry. Whew, this is hard to get out. if I can. Alrighty, now that is siliconed in all the way around. So we'll just let this dry and we'll come back and assemble the rest. Okay, so now that we're somewhat dry, I'm going to go ahead and for this one, because of some of the testing I'm doing, I'm actually going to glue the motor into the coupling. So I've just placed a small bead of silicone around the coupling, and I will recess this motor in. Make sure you're going in the right direction, arrow pointing this way. Alright, so the next step is to put the front coupling on, making sure that the wires go on the inside. So it looks like that. From there, you can go ahead and attach the rubber bands. Easiest way I found was to start from the bottom. From the bottom, come up, do a twist, and come back down. Now if you have short rubber bands, you won't have to do that. And then do the same for the rubber bands on the bottom. And this is where, again, you might need to use 2 rubber bands on the bottom, because when the reservoir is full of the carbon, it gets kind of heavy, so you might wind up bottoming out on the stands. So from there, I'm going to unravel some of this wire. So from there, you just put the front cowl on. This is the bottom of the front cowl. And I forgot to mention that if you want, if you ream these out a little bit, you can put glue 3 magnets in here, and it'll help stick the front cowl down on the bed of the Flashforge, because it's a steel bottom. You don't need to do that, but it's something you might want to do. But if you do that, make sure you put like a piece of funky foam or something along the bottom here, so it won't vibrate against the base. So just put this through here, the wires through the front cowl, and then there you go. Sits in the cradle like this. Stands just like that, and you're done. And that's it. That's all there is to putting the scrubber together. A couple notes. So all of my testing that I've done, which I'll release in later videos, is based around moving air out of the printer so I can create or attempt to create a negative gradient inside the printer. So that way I'm more confident that the particulate and the VOCs are being passed through the filter. In order to do that, however, you need to seal the printer up really well. And if you have a Flashforge Creator Pro, that means you have to change the top. I was unable to seal that top well enough, the existing top well enough, to make it work. What I did find, though, is the Makerbot top. It's bigger and it has a flat edge all the way around. It fits and seals much better. It's one piece, and quite frankly, I think it looks better too. A couple other things. You need to seal along the bottom if, again, you're using it in a Creator Pro with silicone. And then what I did was where the wires come up through 2 or 3 of the corners, I just used some funky foam and sealed those off as best as I could. And again, in a later video, I'll show you the modifications I've done to it to get this thing to work. So that's it. So hopefully this video helped you. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in future videos, subscribe. All right, thanks guys, and see you in the next one.